Hey guys, welcome to Biology 2210. This is Dr. Hoff's class, and today I'm going to go over the digestive system. Let's begin. So when we eat food, the first thing the food encounters is the oral cavity, or basically your mouth, which is, what's it called, like surrounded by your salivary glands. You have 6 of them, but 3 of them have the same name. This one is just the left side, and this one's your right side. Anyways, this thing right here is your parotid gland. Now let me show you as to what it would look like in a human skull. That's your parotid gland. You have a right and a left. You then have the submandibular gland. This is how it looks like on a human skull. Submandibular gland. And then deeper inside, I think it's best if you remove the skull. Deeper inside, that's your sublingual gland. Again, you have a left and a right. Cool. Once the food has been surrounded by your saliva, we then go to the epiglottis. Now the epiglottis, it's not in here for some reason, so I'll just show a picture right here. That right there is the epiglottis. Now the epiglottis is meant to prevent the food from entering your trachea, or basically entering your respiratory system. So it stops over here. You see this thing right here? That's your vocal cords. I'll go over that once I go to the respiratory system. But anyways, you have like an epiglottis here blocking it when we eat food. Cool, now we get into the esophageal opening. Esophageal opening. It's called the esophageal opening because we then go to the esophagus. This long thing right here is your esophagus. Your esophagus leads to your stomach. Your stomach. This is your stomach right here. Cool. Now, once we get into the stomach, we meet the pyloric sphincter. Now, you have 2 of them. You have one in the top right here. That's the first one. That's the first pyloric sphincter. I don't know if this is how it looks like, but I'll just show a picture right here. That's the pyloric sphincter. And you have one at the end of your stomach before we enter the small intestines. So this right here is your pyloric sphincter before entering the small intestines. Cool. Now, once we get into the small intestines, let me try to find it real quick. Ooh. So, once we get into the small intestines, we meet the duodenum. This is your duodenum. Duodenum. We then get into the jejunum. Jejunum. And then this right here is your ileum. Ileum. Now, the other day I was watching a YouTube video, and one thing to remember these small intestines is DJ Ivan. So, DJ standing for duodenum. The J in DJ for jejunum, and Ivan for ileum. Okay? Now this right here is also part of your ileum. This is also part of your ileum. Now, entering the large intestines, the first thing we encounter is the cecum. Your cecum. This right here is your cecum. And then once you get into the cecum, it goes to the ascending colon. Ascending colon. We then go into the transverse colon. Transverse colon. And then we get into the descending colon. Descending colon. And then we get into the sigmoid colon. Sigmoid colon. And then we get into the rectum. The rectum. Now that's just the pathway of the food. I'm going to go over the extra lab list in a bit. Give me a second. This would take... I'll probably cut this off. Or I can just speed it up. I'll be quick. Cool. Let's move this. Oh, no, keep that. Okay, cool. And again, this is the stomach, right? Let me just hide this. This right here is your stomach. This right here is your stomach. Now, this big thingy right here, that's your liver. That's your liver. Now, if we make the liver like transparent, you can see your gallbladder. That's right there is your gallbladder. That's your gallbladder. Okay, and then, like, coming off under, this right here is your common bile duct. Your common bile duct. Common bile duct. And then this yellow thing right here is your pancreas. And it says head and body. This right here, this part is the head of the pancreas. And then the body is this part. And that should be it. That should be it for the human models. I'm going to go over the cats in a bit. Okay, now let's get into the cat section. So, in the cats, number 1, it's kind of labeled over here. That one's called the parotid gland. Number 2, that one is called the sublingual gland. And then number 3, this one is the submandibular gland. And then 4 over here, this one is the esophagus. And as you can see, 8 I crossed it out, but this is actually part of the respiratory list. This one right here is the trachea. The trachea is in front of the esophagus. Okay, cool. So again, this one right here, that's the trachea, and behind that, behind the trachea, that's the esophagus. So this one right here, that one, that's the esophageal opening. And this one right here, of course, that little line thingy, like going like that, that's called the vocal cords. It's fairly similar to a human's. And again, another picture, the trachea is in front of the esophagus. Well, that was a ugly handwriting. But again, trachea is in front of the esophagus. Okay, cool. Now, after the esophagus, it goes down here, and then, boom, we get to the stomach. So this one right here is your stomach. Give me a second. Stomach. That one's your stomach. Now, this one right here is called your duodenum. It's part of your small intestines. I'm going to just write. Like that. That's cool with me. Okay, now going off track a bit. This thing right here, this thing, that's called the liver. This thing right here, that's the gallbladder. Oops, give me a second. This thing right here, that one's called your common bile. I mean, that's the cat's common bile duct. And yeah. Oh right, I forgot this one. This one is the pancreas. Okay, cool. Now this one here, the yellow things are from another lab list, but I think it's good to know because they're all bundled up together anyways. So anyways, again, this one here, that's your pancreas. Okay. This one here, this is your small intestines, right? That's your duodenum, and then right here, small intestines. Okay. And then we get into, like it's kind of bundled up, so it's really difficult to see. But at some point, we reach to this part, and then boom, we get to the cecum. Now we're in the large intestines. And this again, this is like the colons and stuff, so this is part of the large intestines. Okay, now let me show you what I mean. So as you can see here, this thingy, that's your small intestines. Now the thing is with the small intestines, yesterday during the lecture, she said that we only have to identify the duodenum, which is the beginning of the small intestines, and the ileum, which is the end of the small intestines in the cats, in the lab dissection of cats, because it'll be impossible to find the jejunum when we're taking a test, right? So she's only going to test us on the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestines, and the ileum, which is the last part of the small intestines. So once we get to, the cecum, which is this one, this part, it enters through the ileocecal valve. So the small intestines goes into the ileocecal valve, and then it goes to the cecum right here. And then again, these things are part of the large intestines. And this one is the ascending colon. Large intestines. And then again, this one is probably the transverse, I'm assuming, or maybe the descending, but it's really difficult to identify with the cats. So I think she's going to test us on the human model instead, if that's what I recall hearing from her yesterday. So yeah, I'm going to just put colon. Oh right, and this one's the ileum, the last part of the small intestines. Okay, and that should be it with the digestive systems.